All righty, everybody. Welcome on in. I'm WTOL 11 Chief Meteorologist Chris Vickers on the eve of another weather impact alert day. It is so great to see you. We appreciate you tuning in here on WTOL 11 Plus, an extra way that we can connect to you, dive a little bit deeper into some of the data and details, and maybe perhaps you're on our WTOL 11 YouTube page. There's a great opportunity as well. If you got any questions, you can fire that along, and we'll be certain to answer some of those questions. The first one already in. And we've been asked, what time is the snow going to begin? So we're going to be diving deep into that, but so many ways you could stay connected as well. At any point, if you feel like you want to scan that QR code right there, you could pull your phone up and scan the TV screen or on your computer screen on YouTube here if you're following along there. And that's going to link you to our free WTOL 11 weather app and give you an insight as well. 10-day forecast, one of my favorite features on the app as well. You go into the interactive radar. It actually gives you access to the next 24 hours, some of that model data. So you're going to be able to track this Clipper system right alongside us. Now, when is it going to snow? That's the first question we've had in on our WTOL 11 YouTube page, and we're going to be diving deep into the details of that. Also coming up in just a few minutes, I'll bring in meteorologist John Birchfield. He's alongside me with some team coverage on this, and we'll dive into what to expect. A little bit of light snow that's occurring right now, that across northwest Ohio and southern Michigan. I will tell you that's very light snow, not anything that's significantly accumulating, but the Clipper system, this is the area I'm watching up here toward International Falls, northern Minnesota. That's an area where we've got some steadier snow that's working in. Quick little distance of where that is, because northern Minnesota, quite a bit of distance away. That's nearly 700 miles. That steadier pocket of snow, or that better energy with that Clipper system actually has to track before it reaches into our area. So it will do so while you sleep tonight. And the light snow that's falling right now across western Ohio, mainly west of I-75, may bring a coating to a ½ inch of an accumulation tonight, sort of just kind of priming the atmosphere for what's going to be unfolding as we get into the day tomorrow. Much of the snow is west of Toledo, a little bit of light snow activity across the Toledo metro. If you're east of I-75, anywhere from Upper Sandusky, Tiffin, Fremont, not a snowflake in the sky at this point. We can dive a little bit deeper into. Let's bring radar up to current speed right now, and let's highlight what's occurring over toward Williams County, because this is an area that has seen some of the steadier snow pockets. So over toward Bryan, up toward Pioneer. There's where we got a little pocket of snow. West Unity down toward Stryker. There's Bryan. You get over toward State Route 49 out toward the Indiana state line. That's Edgerton and Eden. You've got some steadier snow and some indications out toward Angola, Indiana. Some of those deeper blues would indicate that's where a couple pockets of steadier snow are showing up. That is over toward I-69 where we've got some of the steadier snow. We could zoom in on that. That's where snow could be coating some of the areas along I-69 that is going to be moving into Williams County. So heads up to that. It is a possibility that we get at least quarter to a ½ an inch of snow over there in the next half hour. Jumping over to the Toledo metro, we've got a little light snow that's coming down 475. There's Holland, Monclova Township, Waterville, perhaps a few flurries. Perrysburg to Maumee getting a little bit of light snow activity, but again, nothing that's going to be significantly sticking, at least for tonight. That's just sort of the warm-up or appetizer leading up to the snow that will arrive tomorrow morning. Couple flurries. Road conditions, though, here across the Toledo metro are in just fine shape, but we're on the eve of a weather impact alert day. What's happening right now? Light snow west of Toledo, and this is a great way we could stay connected, kind of keep you up to date with what's going on here on WTOL 11 Plus and our YouTube page. Another question that's coming in right now: how much snow are we going to get this time? All right, let's put things in perspective. The last storm that we had just over a week and a half ago, brought about 8 to 10 inches of snow. We're going to be a fraction of that. 1 to 3 inches of an accumulation is what we're going to be expecting. So please go ahead and keep some of those questions coming on our YouTube page. We also got a question. I think I'm going to fire this one in a little bit to John Birchfield. Do you think schools are going to delay or close tomorrow? Because it's going to be a razor close call on this. John,
sure will be.
A little moment of levity. You and I had a bit of a debate, because we don't make the call. Right? I'll be clear on that.
Yes.
We were asked, and I kind of said, you know, the timing's tricky, because if it doesn't really start snowing steadily till 6 a.m., I said, I think a lot of these kids should be ready to go to school tomorrow. Your take on it, John?
Yeah, and the issue is, you know, by the time those superintendents are making the call, the snow's just going to be starting, Chris. Exactly. So there's not going to be a ton of accumulation on those roads. But between that 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. window, that's when things are really going to go downhill.
So paint the picture to me, John. The superintendents have to make that call call 6:30.
Yeah.
Delay really doesn't do any good in this situation because delay would actually only put us out there in the steadiest of the snow. So they're going to have to make that call based on limited snow at the time by about 6 a.m., right?
Yeah, that 2-hour delay would put the school bus right in the heart of the heavy snow. So I don't foresee that being a widespread scenario. Obviously, cancellation is going to be on the cards if the snow starts a little bit earlier.
Right.
But by the time school lets out at, say, 2:45, 3 p.m., things are going to be getting a little better, and the snow is going to be wrapped up by that point. So kind of on that fine line with the snow rolling in right around the time that call has to be made, Chris.
John, why don't you go ahead and take it from here, take it from the details, and when you're wrapped up with that, I'll come back with a good hour-by-hour breakdown, kind of answering, too, how much snow and the timing. So take it away, John.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the impacts for those who have to go into work and for the evening commute as well. Snowfall is going to be real steady between about 6 to 10 o'clock a.m. Widespread 1 to 3 inch amounts are likely, and Chris will have that updated snowfall map coming in a bit. And also it's going to be turning breezy into the afternoon, so some of those rural areas could even see a little blowing and drifting during the latter half of the day. Just seeing the appetizer to that main event tomorrow that is going to be rolling in right around daybreak. So let's break down the timing. So this Clipper system is going to be nose diving in from the northwest. Areas north and west of Toledo, like Hillsdale and Williams counties, I would say the snow is going to be starting a little earlier there, say about 5 a.m. So that's where those school closures may be even more likely. And the snow is going to be winding down already by about 10 to 11. So a pretty short window of snow. You may recall with that last winter storm a couple weeks ago, it was an all-day heavy snow. This is not going to be that scenario. We're only going to see about 3 to 5 hours of steady, persistent snow. However, there's going to be an Arctic cold front on the backside of that Clipper that could produce a few more bursts of snow into the late afternoon and early evening. Some model data does indicate that along the lakeshore into northeastern Ohio, there could be some brief reductions of visibility, almost characteristic of what might be considered a snow squall. I think the best chance for that is in northeast Ohio. And the reality is the bulk of the snow, it's going to be out of the way in the morning. Any snow that we see along this front is going to be more isolated, but it may still come with some gusty winds. So keep in mind, if you're heading out to dinner or driving home from work, there may still be some slowdowns. Now behind that front, it is going to be downright frigid, a much colder start to the weekend. So let's talk a little bit about travel conditions. As we highlighted earlier, snow's just going to be getting started around 5 to 6 a.m. So please use caution during that time frame. Although most of those major roadways, honestly, don't expect them to be snow covered until closer to 8 to 9 a.m. Red light for travel during that period from mid-morning through the early afternoon, as travel could be poor with snowy roadways that are going to be likely. And then as we fast forward the clock into the afternoon, for those schools that do opt to send the kids to school on time, conditions should start to improve by the early to mid-afternoon, with most of those major interstates just wet at that point in time. So it's really the mid to late morning that we're expecting the worst of the travel impacts. In terms of snowfall totals, it'll be a widespread 2-incher. Not really seeing a whole lot of variation from east to west. A pretty uniform snowfall amount with this one. Now, what's interesting about this Clipper is temperatures are actually initially going to be well above freezing. We're expecting highs to climb up into the mid-30s, but that Arctic cold front is going to drop us back near 0 degrees by Saturday morning. So quite the temperature swing, going from temps in the 30s down to near 0. Now, we probably are getting some questions as well. Are those temperatures going to prevent the snow from accumulating? And the answer is not likely, because during the morning, we're initially going to be below freezing. That 34-degree high doesn't really happen until after the snow ends. So that's not really going to hamper those snow accumulations. Temperatures are going to be in the 20s in the morning. So that'll be plenty cold enough, especially with how cold those road surfaces are, that accumulations should add up pretty readily. Into the afternoon, we're going to be in the mid-30s. The benefit of those temperatures is the road salt's a little more effective in that range. So most of the major interstates, highways, roadways should start to see some signs of improvement into the afternoon as those temperatures briefly rise. Now, behind this Arctic cold front, the big story for the weekend is the Arctic bitter cold. Saturday, we're going to be near 0 in the morning, temperatures in the mid-teens into the afternoon. Super Bowl Sunday could see a few snow flurries. And then Monday, temperatures start to moderate at least a little bit closer to freezing. And I do want to give you a little tease. Of course, you can see that latest 10-day forecast coming up tonight at 11 on WTOL. But we are monitoring some signs that are pointing towards a gradual thaw. Now, I do want to emphasize the word gradual because by the end of the 10-day forecast, you're only going to see mid-30s. So it's not really going to feel like a warm-up. However, compared to what we've experienced in December and January, things are at least pointing towards some milder signs. And there is the chance that by mid to late February, we do introduce a couple 40-degree days to that 10-day forecast. So for those not looking forward to the snow, certainly something to look forward to, but it may require a little patience to really get to that warm up in earnest. So Chris, we talked a little bit about the impacts, the timing, and how the bulk of that snow is going to be falling during the morning time frame. And this will be one of those that not going to require the snow blower, but the shovel might need to get broken out again tomorrow.
You know, John, you've at least given me hope, though, when I'm out shoveling my driveway in the morning that I see that February thaw. It's not going to be tropical, but it's at least going to get us above freezing next week. I think we all need a little break from some of the cold weather we've had.
Yeah, it'll be nice to get some reprieve from the cold. And another pointer for the shoveling is that it's going to get very windy tomorrow evening, Chris. So for those who do wait until after work, might be a little breezy. I would say the best time to shovel, and I would you can chime in as well. I would say maybe early afternoon if you're able, or around midday, because that the snow will be done by that point. Temperatures are going to be in the mid-30s, and it's really not going to be overly windy right around that time frame. So you may be thinking, oh, this doesn't feel so bad.
Right. You want to get it cleaned up before that Arctic air, because this system is actually a little disjointed, John, because we get the snow in the morning, then a lull.
Yep.
Now, there is an Arctic front that will come through late in the afternoon. Could pop a few additional snow showers, but behind that Arctic front, that's when the winds kick up.
Yep.
That's when the cold arrives.
Yeah, and there could even be some areas of refreezing and possible black ice as well. So that's another impact to keep an eye on for those Friday night plans, too.
All right, John, I love this, too. And we'll take it back over here, and we'll check in with you, John, before we wrap up this evening as well, because we are expecting that that 1 to 3 inches of snow will come fairly quickly into the morning hours. Winds occasionally will gust to about 30 miles per hour. And as John said, yeah, you're going to need the snow shovels, but it's nowhere near the magnitude of the heavy snow that occurred our last winter system that did come into the area. So do keep that in mind. We're looking at conditions that are going to be at least wintry across the region. Now, we are in the teens, and this was yet another day. I'm actually going to throw this data in here. Thought about just kind of skipping over it because it wasn't as relevant to the upcoming weather system that's coming in. But look at this, the count of below freezing hours. 354 straight hours where we've been below freezing. You've been thinking, you got to be kidding me. When are we finally going to warm up? January 22nd was the last time we actually had a temperature above freezing. That makes now 22 straight days of below average temperatures. And this really struck me. We're piling through the data last night, and it was the coldest end to January. So last 2 weeks from the 15th through the 31st in nearly 50 years since 1977. We had an average temperature of 12.6 degrees. I think we're all ready for a little break. Snow is going to return Friday morning. Slippery travel, and John highlighted this as well. Very accurate timeline. Really mid-morning is when things become a little dicey. Snow-covered roads. Snow will be coming down, but it's a very short window. By lunchtime, snow's done. Road conditions will improve. And as he said, yeah, get out there and maybe shovel that driveway. So very important details. I'll break it down, and we'll also talk with John coming up in a few moments about the timing. Anything that occurs mainly west of I-75 is going to be brief tonight. Lighter snow, a ½ an inch of an accumulation. Now here's the important timing, 6 a.m. That's when it arrives for many areas west of Toledo. Steadier snow that's going to be possible, but between 6 to 8 it spreads across the rest of the area. And here's the clock, 8 a.m. It's going to be a steady snow that will be occurring, and this is when we get the peak accumulation, 1 to 3 inches, and by 10 to 11 a.m. it's tapering off. By lunchtime, most areas are dry. Nice lull in the activity. Now the Arctic front hasn't come through yet. Here it comes later in the afternoon, 4 p.m. Winds will pick up once that Arctic front comes through, and I will tell you, you won't be able to miss it. It'll sort of rattle the winds, gusting 30 to 35 miles per hour, and temperatures will go falling very quickly into Friday evening. Cold enough that that refreeze will be fairly harsh across the area. Widespread snow totals. This was one of the questions we had on our YouTube page. We are YouTube live right now. 1 to 3 inches of an accumulation. And where we get the heaviest of this snow kind of waffles a little bit from the central portion of our viewing area. And actually some of the data has shown it's shifted to the south and west. So if you're in Williams, Defiance, Ottawa, over toward Napoleon, Henry County, these are some areas that could be over the 2-inch total, 2 to 3 inches that may be possible. So go ahead. Take a moment, pick your community out. Norwalk, Tiffin, over toward Fremont, around 2 inches of an accumulation. 1.5 inches or so up toward Adrian, and just over 2 inches to the south and west of the Toledo metro is likely what we're going to be expecting. Now, not a huge winter storm level impact, 2 on the scale, and a quick moving clipper system, 1 to 3 inches of an accumulation. Light snow tonight, up to a ½ an inch possible, 19 degrees, and then through the day tomorrow. A little ironic that our weather impact alert day, it's for the snow, cold and wind, but the warmest point of the day is actually going to make it above freezing, at least for a few hours into the afternoon. We go plunging then into Saturday, 16 the high, 1 degree the low into Saturday morning, 21 on Sunday, few flurries. If you got those Super Bowl parties to go to, no real travel issues, but of course urge you to be safe. 29 on Monday, 37 on Tuesday, 36 Wednesday. We're going to be above freezing, and we'll call it our little February thaw. Believe it or not, it just gets back toward average, though, by the time we reach the middle of next week. That could come with a few rain showers, maybe perhaps a wintry mix out there Wednesday into Thursday, and then we'll settle back into the low and mid-30s as we go through the rest of that 10-day forecast. So do have some ups and downs. Saturday will be a cold day, rising back through the mid to upper 30s, and eventually those average highs, they do get a little bit closer to the mid to upper 30s as we go through the end of that 10-day forecast. So a little bit of a roller coaster ride. And John, I'm going to give you one last kind of take at that hour-by-hour forecast before we wrap things up tonight. Timing of that snow, maybe not favorable for the morning commute as well.
Yeah, Chris, and as you pointed out, it's areas north and west that are going to be seeing it a little bit sooner. So right around 5 a.m. possibly into Williams and Hillsdale counties. And that's when there could be some issues, especially for 2-hour delays and closures. And it's going to be really widespread for that morning commute. So use caution on the roads, especially right around that 8 to 9 a.m. time frame. By 10 to 11, it's going to be exiting south and east. And as Chris pointed out, that Arctic cold front into the early evening could cause a few additional issues with temperatures dropping, winds picking up, and turning downright cold into next weekend, with those temperatures dropping to the single digits by early Saturday morning. As Chris showed you with that 10-day forecast, there is going to be a gradual thaw. I know it might not be the warm-up that many people imagine, but February still oftentimes does bring harsh weather. And we've been, the last 2 months close to 6 degrees below average. So I think we're due for some milder days, Chris, but it's going to take a little patience before we get there.
It is, John, and we're going to be wrapping this up here in just a few moments. I want to thank everybody that has been joining us here exclusively on WTOL 11 Plus. It is our direct connection to you. Also, our WTOL 11 YouTube page. One more question, John, came in from Lucas. He said, is there going to be ice associated with this? Not ice falling from the sky. Our biggest concern with ice would be the refreeze Friday night into Saturday morning.
Yeah, any of those roadways that aren't fully cleared off of the snow, there could be a little bit of black ice that develops. So Saturday morning, still take it easy on the roads with the potential for a bit of refreezing, Chris.
All right, John. Well, we're looking forward to getting through this little bump in the road with that wintry weather. Appreciate your work, John. Meteorologist John Birchfield as well. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Vickers, and we will continue to stay connected with you here on WTOL Plus and on our YouTube page. If you want to stick around, we're going to have some weather information that is going to continue to kind of give you that hunger or feed that appetite for what's going to be coming in with our Weather Impact Alert Day. It has been great having you along on this Thursday evening, and we look forward to a snowy Friday. Urge you a little extra caution and extra time on the roads. Take care, everybody, and have a great night. Thank you for watching here on WTOL 11 Plus and our YouTube page.
you.